got interested in this because I met a lady 8 years ago named Cynthia Jackson. And she was, at the time, and is, a single mother to a 5th grader named Will. And she lived in Canton Public Schools. And I got to know her because she worked at St. Dominic's as a medical technician, but didn't make a lot of money. And she was watching her son, a 5th grader, who had big dreams, wanted to be a doctor when he grew up. She was watching him fall further and further behind in Canton Public Schools. As she watched him fall, she watched his friends slip into the gang culture, and she saw violence and drugs and disrupted classrooms, and she knew, she could see where her son was going, and she saw nothing that she could do to stop it. And I got to know her, and she came to the Capitol to advocate for additional education options. After I got to know her, I have heard versions of that story in school district after school district across the state. And I will repeat what I said at the beginning. Our effort is not about all of the wonderful things that Nancy talked about that are happening in our public schools. We need people that are full-throated champions of public education. I celebrate that, and I'm thrilled that she celebrates that. We also need people that champion families and students who are being left behind in communities across our state. We don't have to hurt public schools to achieve that, but let's do something to provide a lifeline for them. So I talked to Cynthia the other day. It had been a year since I talked to her, and I called her. This was back in May, and I said, Cynthia, whatever happened to Will? She said, well, there's good news and there's bad news. She said, the good news, he got out. He went to Germantown High School in Madison. He got a great high school education. He has got a job now. He's going to be in community college this fall, and he's taken pre-med classes, and he's planning to go to medical school. I said, well, what's the bad news? She said, I sent him away to live with his father because I could not get him into Madison any other way. We tried a district transfer. We tried private school. I couldn't afford the tuition. I had to live my son's high school days apart from him, and I had to sacrifice so he could get a better education. When Nancy says we do not have schools and have not schools, that is simply not true. When Nancy says our public schools are open to everybody, that is simply not true. For Cynthia, she drove past beautiful Madison schools every day and knew that those schools were not open to her. She did not have the money to afford to buy residential housing in Madison. She did not have the money to move to a place that had better education. And so what I'm trying to say is when we create this system where you have to be on team public school, or you're against it, or you're against families, or you're against kids, that is detrimental to our state. It's moving us in the wrong direction. We've got to recognize that kids are different and they need different things. And in places where we have great public schools, great, let's celebrate it. In places where we don't, let's work to improve them. But in the meantime, let's give parents a choice. And if it looks like a charter school, fantastic. I'm thrilled with the parents who are seeing their kids finally achieve and be stretched and be challenged in the charter schools in Jackson and the charter school in Clarksdale. If it looks like a private school in some places and kids with special needs are getting their needs served, fantastic. We should want that for everybody. But making us choose a side is not helpful. Our organization supports virtually everything that the Parents Campaign supports. We want world-class public schools. The difference is they spend a lot of time trying to stop us and trying to stop parents who are just trying to help their kids.